So I think the reason why you've been so successful in life, and I hope you don't mind me using you as an example to answer your question, you know, you show up consistently the same every single day in every way, whether I've met you personally, professionally, on stage, talking to me, whether you're talking to an entire audience, whether you're on a podcast platform, you're always authentically who you are. Why that is so important is when people want to get to know somebody, you have something very unique about you that adds value to them and to their life and to their business or to the friendship or to the relationship. And when you show up as a version of you or a part of you and not the entirety of who you are, you're not allowing people to see the full expression of you. You're not allowing people to learn and to gain from the full expression of who you are. And so if you show up in a room trying to be, in my case, confident and positive and strong and all these things, but in fact, I was weak and insecure, then you end up showing up as a very muted version of yourself. You overcompensate in other areas, and then people find there's a disconnect with you. A large part of what I do when I work with individuals, and I sometimes bring this into companies, but is to interject the idea that we're all energy. And if you think about us from an energetic perspective, energy carries a frequency. Your entire body is comprised of atoms, right? Neurons, electrons, protons. When you have a single thought, that thought instructs your entire body how to vibrate and at what frequency to vibrate. If you walk into a room dressed all in black, but you really want to be in the sparkle dress, right? People don't understand the disconnect, but they feel the disconnect. When they feel the disconnect, it creates distrust. When there's distrust, they don't like you and they don't know why they don't like you. They just like, oh, I don't feel safe or I'm not unsure. And it's not because they're not safe or they should be unsure. It's you're unsure about you because in that moment, you're not showing up as the person of you that is creating that greatest impact or has the ability to be the best version. And so I challenge everybody to show up in rainbow high heels. I encourage everybody to be the greatest expression of themselves.
Please don't show up in rainbow high heels next time we're speaking together. Or do.
That would be interesting.
No, it's so true though. Like I don't know that I've ever framed it in those words. And that's one of my favorite things about podcasts and having guests like yourself who are analytical on the spot. This isn't pre-scripted, you guys. This isn't what questions are you going to ask me? And then Rudy comes with all the answers. That's not how these work. At least my show doesn't. And so I just really value you. I value the way that you show up to learn as much as you do engage. And I feel even as I'm talking to you today, I'm like, gosh, I have 1,000 more questions I want to ask you because I know the work that you do for humanity is so powerful. And so I want to hear one last thing from you from a leadership perspective. And the thing that really struck the chord with me most in the last part that you said is it's actually this distrust element. And I've been really prayerful into discernment and discerning why I feel that way or what is it about them that I need to either manipulate myself to interact with them in a healthy way, manipulate myself, or I need to steer clear. So when you're thinking about leadership and discernment connected to who we are and how we have to show up uniquely, what does that look like for you?
You've asked it as a closing question, and I so wish it was an opening question because I could take the entire hour to just talk about that one topic. I want to leave you thinking about this. And I need everyone to know that this is an opening question with an opening answer. And this is truly just the beginning of the journey if this is the first time you're hearing it. When you walk into a room, you need to know who you are before you walk into that room. Because if you walk into any room, any meeting, any interaction, and you are not 100% confident about who you are, about how you feel before you walk in there, you're going to be influenced by everything inside that room. And when I say influence, what I mean is we're all energetic beings. And so you and I are having a conversation right now, and your energy is infusing with mine and mine's with yours. And there's information that's being passed back and forth because we're living in this incredible world, and it's a very much energetic world. And so if I know before I walk into that room that I'm feeling calm, I've meditated, I've journaled, I've had an incredible morning with my family, I'm feeling, high on life. I'm loving myself, my job, where I'm going. And then all of a sudden I walk into a room and I feel anxious, nervous, scared. I didn't all of a sudden become anxious, nervous, or scared. that energy of anxiousness or nervousness or scare is in that room, and that is information for me. Now I get to make a calculated, educated decision about whether I choose to stay in that room or what brought that into the room. You know, you asked the question very specifically. As a leader, you need to know intimately who you are. You need to have meditated. You need to have journaled. You need to know clear vision of where you're going, what you're doing, why your business is or isn't working, so that when you walk in a room and you feel the energy of what is happening around you, now you can make decisions that either keep people in that train or you move them out of that train. You help people take accountability for where they are or for where they want to go, because you're tapping into information that's outside of what you're just seeing. 85% of communication is nonverbal. So if 85% of what we perceive and the decisions that we make aren't even from words that are spoken or in print, how are we making decisions in life? You see, I say this all the time. People, if they're not doing the necessary work that is required to know themselves, then they are living a life by default. They are reacting to things that are happening, thinking it's their own. So if you don't know that you're in a good mood, how you feel, confident, motivated, walk into a room and all of a sudden you feel anxious, nervous, scared, and you make decisions from being anxious, nervous, or scared, then you haven't made a decision you would have made. You are reacting in that moment as a default reaction to a circumstance. But if you do walk in as an empowered, confident version of you, you see that now you're in a place where you can say, well, why do I feel that way? Where is that coming from? Who is the person that's coming from? Now I can discern. Do I want to go forward? Do I want to stay away from that person? Do I want to learn more? Or maybe, what is that person going through right now that's how they feel? Because their words are saying one thing, but their actions are something different. And then you can have a breakthrough, and then you could get a better version of somebody, or you could avoid a catastrophe by not going into business with someone. There's just so much information in learning to know who you are, so you can make better decisions about where you're at when you're there. You know, I said in the beginning, you always are where you are, right? You walk into a room, you're there. You leave the room, well, now you're there. But where you go in, you're walking into energy. You're walking into this mood. You're walking into information. And for most people, they don't know who they are before they walk in. And so they just react from whatever situation or circumstance is happening around them. And that's probably the biggest thing that I could say to everyone listening. If you don't have a meditation practice, if you don't have a journaling practice, you don't have a faith practice that you do in the mornings to connect you to who you are and why you're here, then you're not qualified to walk out of the house yet.
Whoa. Y'all, you're not qualified to walk out of your house until these things are done, till this practice is practiced. And it's different for everyone. And so understand that, like, Rudy's not casting shame or judgment over like, what does that practice look like for you? It's different for me too. But I do believe that there's such an element of like being with thyself, knowing thyself. I mean, it's biblical. He's not just like pulling it out of thin air. This is literally like God is asking you to do this work, because when you know who you are, you show up in the world with such strength and power that has been gifted to you to create change and to love and to serve and to, you know, give a gift and receive a gift. I mean, all of these pieces of what makes humanity fun, what makes it enjoyable and pleasurable and good is this knowing. And I know the antithesis, and so does Rudy. And so that's why we're passionate about what we do.